Hello everyone, welcome to banddirector.com and the 2015 Van Doren Clarinet Ensemble Festival. We have with us today Dr. Lynn Musco, who is the professor of clarinet at Stetson University. That's a position she's held for quite a number of years. I won't say how many.
That's okay, feel free. I'm proud of it.
Dr. Copeland, or Dr. Musco is a member of the Tosca duo along with Sean Copeland. And we're looking forward to hearing them later today. I believe it's at 2:15.
Yes, we'll be the last group in that last session.
Great, we'll look forward to that. We've already enjoyed some great concerts today from the University of South Alabama and University of Florida's clarinet ensembles, and it's just been terrific. I wanted to talk to Dr. Musco today because as the professor of clarinet at Stetson University, and also as a member of a small ensemble herself, from a band director standpoint, we wanted to know a little bit more about your program, first off, and how you developed the clarinet program at Stetson, and then also a little bit about, from a high school band director standpoint, what they should be looking for in terms of preparing for a clarinet ensemble, introducing one to their school. So tell me a little bit about your program.
All right, Stetson University is one of the only undergraduate programs in the country. We have no graduate students at all. So the student body in the School of Music is about 200 students, so it's a comprehensive School of Music. Full vocal program, full orchestral program, jazz program, and a full wind band program. The clarinet studio is on average about 22 students. So I'm not the only clarinet teacher. I do have an adjunct professor who, Ms. Jessica Speak, who is one of my graduates and lives in Orlando but teaches at Stetson. Stetson's is in DeLand, Florida, which is about 30 miles west of Daytona Beach and about 34 miles north of Orlando. So we're smack dab in the center of the state. It's a beautiful location. And as I said, it's entirely undergraduate. So they get a lot of playing experience. It's wonderful. I love it there. And I will say that I've been there for 27 years. So it's been a wealth of experience and joy that I share with my students. I often say it's a opportunity to really develop friendships and relationships that last over a lifetime, which is actually how Dr. Copeland and I started Tosca Duo. He is also one of my graduates and is now a college professor, and I'm very proud of him. But we work really well together, and so in addition to being a student and then a good friend and now a colleague, it's a wonderful way to collaborate. And I think that's one of the most important things about chamber music in general, is that it is a really great way to experience music, but also nurture friendships and collaborate with your friends doing something that will grow not only your musical ability, but also just your essence as a person. And for me, that's why we emphasize chamber music so much. It's an integral part of our program. It's a required portion of our degree, so you cannot graduate from Stetson without having some kind of chamber music experience, and there's a plethora of choices. We try and get as much variety as possible. And I think, especially for the young player, it is crucial in their development as independent players, because you don't have 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 other people in that section to rely on playing the part for you. Oh, I don't have to practice that because Nancy will get that part. She's really good. She'll play that. And that doesn't happen in a small ensemble. So whether it's a duo, a quartet, a quintet, clarinet choir, we do all of that at Stetson, and I really, really encourage that in any junior high, middle school, elementary, wherever there's, from the very beginning, encouraging that collaboration of one-on-one, one-on-a-part, one-on-one type playing is integral. That and playing your scales. I think are the two, that essence of really being, I can do this by myself, gives so much confidence and really helps that young player become independent in what they're doing.
Tell me a little bit about the Stetson pitches. Now that's the clarinet ensemble featuring your students.
Yes, this is a group of 4 young women who met as freshmen. They all came in at the same time, and they immediately became friends. They're all from different parts of the state of Florida. They did not know each other before they got to Stetson, but they immediately just gravitated toward each other and started playing in a quartet and had so much fun that they said, we're gonna keep doing this. So some semesters, depending on their academic load, some semesters have been a little bit more active than others. But now they are all juniors, and they've been working together so long, and they have such a great time. And I said, this is a perfect opportunity to bring them out of their shell a little bit,
Sure.
and the comfort zone of playing at home, and get them out into a little broader arena.
What a great opportunity to have them together, what hopefully will be for 4 years, and
Yes.
the ability to be able to perform with each other in a way
Yes.
that I'm sure there's a lot of intuitive performing that's
Yes.
going on now. with
Absolutely.
them.
They have it's very fun to watch how they've grown, and in the beginning they were, very much dependent on Ms. Speak and I for coaching and giving them direction. And now, especially in getting ready for this performance today, a lot of the work was done themselves. They picked the music, they decided what they wanted to play. I said, here's some choices, pick out what you want to do. So they picked the music, they started rehearsing on their own. They usually rehearse more on their own now than they rehearse with a coach. So it's really gratifying to see that growth.
So what are the pieces that Tosca Duo is going to be performing for us today?
Tosca Duo is doing two contemporary works, one that is fairly old and one that is very new. The first piece is by Sidney Hodkinson, who is our Almond Chair of Composition at Stetson University. He's actually retired in Ormond Beach, which is a community north of DeLand, was at the Eastman School of Music for years and years and years and years. He's a tremendously brilliant composer, and he actually is a clarinetist, so he knows the instrument. And this duo was written in 1984, and it's actually a round. It's basically both of us play exactly the same part, but it's about 15 seconds apart. So it'll stretch the ears a little bit, but it's a really excellent piece. And there's actually several different ways that you can perform it, incorporating electronics. We won't be doing any of that today, but it is possible. And I'll talk a little bit about that as I introduce the piece this afternoon. The second piece is Wood and Wind by Carlos Velez, who also is a Stetson graduate, a flute player.
I sense a theme here.
Yes, yeah. We have such great students that we just can't help but support them along the way.
Terrific.
Wood and Wind was commissioned for Tosca Duo last year, and it was premiered at the ICA convention festival, whatever I get them mixed up. But anyway, and it was premiered last year in Baton Rouge. Was written for us. He knows our playing very well. The first movement is very slow, somber, really takes advantage of the really warm, rich sound of the lower register of the clarinet, and a lot of very overlapping unisons and dissonances and things like that. And most of the time you can't tell who's playing what part. It's really interesting. And the second movement is just fast and furious. It's called Maelstrom, so it's it's supposed to be kind of stormy. A little bit of jazzy rhythms and but very, very accessible, but very fun.
Terrific.
So I think you'll enjoy them both.
Of course, we're banddirector.com, and we have a lot of band directors that watch today, and I think that we all understand the importance of small ensembles. If a band director wanted to start a clarinet ensemble, talking about instruments and music, and what kind of advice would you provide for them to get them started?
Depending on what kind of numbers they have and how large their section is, I would really encourage a clarinet choir. It gets them out of the large band and gives them a chance to hear the full clarinet family. It gives a little bit more sense of importance to those students playing the lower instruments. They kind of think, oh, I'm just here to play boom, 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 boom. And in clarinet choir, that's not the case. They get some really demanding parts, and it will bring their technical playing, I think, up to another level. Quartets are tremendously wonderful training tools. I would try and combine both of those elements. Both the clarinet choir to get used to using and hearing those auxiliary instruments. It also gives the B-flat player a chance to do something else and broaden their spectrum, because as a teacher at the college level, I expect my kids to go through the 4 years and do E-flat playing, bass playing, contra playing, so that they're familiar with all those instruments. And the clarinet choir is an excellent medium to have them do that.
Can I ask a little bit more about the instrumentation? If I don't have the choir instruments, Can you give us maybe a preference of order? What should they
Okay.
get first in terms of their budget?
In terms of budget, I would start with alto bass clarinets,
Mhm.
B flats, alto bass.
Mhm.
There's a lot of arrangements that will have alternate parts for the E flat,
Mhm.
or alternate parts. A B flat contrapart quite often will mimic the bass clarinet part, and it's in the same key, so there's no
Sure.
transposition involved. Then I would add the E flat contrabass, just because it's a little bit more accessible money-wise. It's a little bit less expensive than a B flat contra. And then I would add, so in order I would do B flats, alto, bass, then E flat, soprano, and then the two contras.
Great, great. And where can they find music to start? Where
A
would you
lot
suggest?
of places.
Mhm.
I do a lot from Jen.
Mhm. Genet, I think?
Genet, yes. I'm not
Depends.
French, I'm German. Genet has a really good supply of clarinet choir music. I do a lot of work with Leuven. They have a really great choice of clarinet choir. Also, Ebel Music has a very good selection of
I
clarinet
would
choir music.
imagine if the band director contacted them, they could help them with.
Yes, absolutely.
The right
If they
class, the right
don't
grade.
have it, they
Mhm.
could recommend where they could go to get it. But all three of those places usually have a really great selection of clarinet choir music. And a good place to start would be to look at their state solo and ensemble list for
Mhm.
references of music that might be included on repertoire that would be included on those lists. That's a good place to start.
Terrific, terrific. Well, thanks very much for your time. There's a lot of great information for us.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is Dr. Lynn Musco from Stetson University, professor of clarinet, and we're at the 2015 Van Doren Clarinet Ensemble Festival from the University of South Florida. We'll be beginning music again at about 11:30. We'll might grab an interview or two before then, so stay tuned and enjoy the day today. Thank you, Dr. Musco.
Thank you.